Hey guys, today we'll be discuss about the second lecture on human digestive system, right? And you know very well, human digestive system is actually start from mouth and end with anus. That's mean our digestive system contain how many opening, my dear? Our digestive system contain two opening. First opening is called mouth and second opening is called anus, right? Such type of digestive system is called complete digestive system, right? Digestive system which contain two opening, that is first one is mouth and second one is anus, and such type of digestive system is called complete digestive system, and that is your beautiful sexy beloved eyes, and there is your hearing organ, that is ear, right? And below the ear there is presence of a champion salivary gland, right? A champion salivary gland, and this salivary gland is called parotid gland, right? This salivary gland is called what? Parotid gland. And parotid gland is actually first MCQ you have to cover it, right? First MCQ about parotid gland is actually called largest salivary gland, largest salivary gland. And interestingly, this parotid gland is also called queen of face. Oh my god. QUEEN, queen of face, right? That is 2 MCQ regarding your parotid gland, and parotid gland is the first pair of salivary gland. And another MCQ for you, right? How many salivary gland present in our face? Actually 3 pairs of salivary gland, three pairs of salivary gland present in our face, and that is the first pair of salivary gland, that is called parotid gland, right? And parotid, where is the position of this parotid gland, my dear student? The position of this parotid gland is actually just below the ear, that is our hearing organ, right? And the duct of parotid gland is open inside our oral cavity, right? The duct of parotid gland is open inside our oral cavity. And another MCQ for you, this duct of this parotid gland is open near the second molar of, near the second molar of upper jaw. That is again another MCQ, right? And there is another organ, actually, that is the muscular boneless organ, that is called tongue. And below the tongue there is another salivary gland present. This salivary gland which is situated below the tongue, this salivary gland is actually called sublingual gland. I write it down short form, right? That is PG stand for parotid gland, SLG stand for sublingual gland. You have to write down its long form, right? So why this gland is called sublingual gland? That is you need to understand that, because lingua, Lingua, lingua word is actually derived from a Greek word, right? And lingua mean actually tongue, TONGUE, right? So and sub mean what? Sub mean below. That's mean this gland, that means sublingual gland, is just situated below your tongue, right? Because lingua equal to what? Tongue, and sub mean below, that is below the tongue there is presence another pair of salivary gland, that is called sublingual gland. And again another MCQ regarding this sublingual gland, it is called the smallest salivary gland, right? SMALLEST, smallest salivary gland, right? And another salivary gland present in our mouth, present in our face, that is called submandibular gland. This salivary gland is called actually submandibular gland, because there is presence of our lower jaw bone, and lower jaw bone of lower jaw is actually called mandible, and this submandibular gland is situated below the mandible. That's why this salivary gland is called submandibular gland, and this submandibular gland is also known as submaxillary gland. Maxillary gland, right? That's mean submandibular gland is also called submaxillary gland as well, right? And largest salivary gland is called what? Your parotid gland, and smallest salivary gland is called sublingual gland, and all this gland is responsible for production of saliva for us, right? All this gland is actually responsible for production of saliva, right? That is a drop of saliva. That is a drop of saliva, 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 right? And now we have to investigate the composition of saliva. What is the composition of saliva? Actually, lots of MCQ arise from this area for your competitive exam, so my student at least have the crystal clear idea about all this MCQ, right? So now we have to investigate about this saliva, right? Saliva, so saliva, right? Saliva, right? So how many pairs of salivary gland present in our mouth? Three pairs of salivary gland present in our mouth. First pair is parotid gland, second one is sublingual gland, and third one is submandibular gland, and submandibular gland is also called submaxillary gland, and all this gland is responsible for production of saliva. Now saliva contain, what is the composition of saliva, my dear? Saliva contain actually 99.5% water. Wow, that is the first MCQ for you, right? Saliva contain what? This saliva contain 99.5% water and only 0.5% solid, right? Only 0.5% solid. Now this solid contain actually several things inside saliva. The first important thing present in this solid portion, that is called salivary amylase enzyme, AMYLASE, salivary amylase enzyme, or it is also called amylase as well, AMYLASE, right? Amylase is also called ptyalin, PTYALIN, right? That is the first enzyme. In this salivary amylase enzyme is present in saliva, and this salivary amylase is actually responsible for digestion of carbohydrate, right? That is another MCQ. Now the next composition of this solid is called, there is also presence of another enzyme that is called maltase, MALTASE, and maltase is also a carbohydrate digestive enzyme which is responsible for digestion of maltose, right? And again I mentioned there maltose, that is the unit of maltose, and maltose is made up of 2 units of glucose. So maltose is what? Actually a disaccharide, right? And maltase enzyme is have the capacity to cut this bond, and maltose then convert into 2 molecule of glucose, right? That is the function of maltase enzyme on maltose. And another enzyme present in our saliva, that is called lingual lipase. Lingual lipase, right? And again you know very well, lipase is actually a lipid digestive enzyme, right? So this lipase, lingual lipase, is present in negligible amount in saliva, but it's have very negligible effect on fat digestion. And another enzyme that is present in saliva, that is called actually lysozyme. Zyme. And lysozyme have the very great capacity to kill the microorganism present in our mouth, right? Our mouth can maybe contain bacteria, virus, right, and such other foreign material, mainly bacteria. This lysozyme is mainly act on bacteria. So when you consume food, then unfortunately this bacteria is come. But first of all, your jaw, that's mean jawbone, that's mean maxilla and mandible, and this maxilla and mandible contain teeth. And first of all, this food is just first of all masticated by your teeth, tongue and jaw. After that, if this bacteria again then survive, then this bacteria is attacked by this lysozyme and kill this bacteria by creating hole on this bacterial cell wall, right? So that is the function of what? Salivary amylase. Salivary amylase is activate on carbohydrate, right? And maltase is also activate on carbohydrate, that is maltose. Lingual lipase is act on lipid, and that is the negligible effect on lipid digestion. And lysozyme is responsible for killing the microorganism present in our mouth, right? And another composition of our saliva that is present in this solid portion, I will discuss it after rubbing this portion, right? First of all, you have to copy this area. So my dear, now we are discussing the composition of saliva, and you know very well, saliva contain 99.5% water and only 0.5% solid, right? And now we have to investigate the composition of this solid. Already you know that this is contain amylase enzyme, amylase. Amylase is also called ptyalin, and this is responsible for digestion of carbohydrate. Now another again, this saliva contain maltase, and maltase is again responsible for digestion of carbohydrate. And the third one is lingual lipase, and that is a lipid digestive enzyme. And lingual lipase have the very negligible effect on fat digestion in mouth. Next enzyme is called lysozyme, and this lysozyme is actually inhibit the bacterial growth by killing the microorganism and bacteria, right? By creating hole on the bacterial cell wall. Next another enzyme present in saliva, but this enzyme also present in negligible amount, and but it is present in saliva, right? It is called carbonic anhydrase, right? It is still a very very master enzyme, carbonic anhydrase, right? And again another MCQ around this carbonic anhydrase. You know very well, my dear, carbonic anhydrase is the fastest enzyme present in human body, right? It is the fastest enzyme, right? Carbonic anhydrase is the fastest enzyme present in our saliva, but carbonic anhydrase is mainly present in the cytoplasm of RBC, right? Because carbonic anhydrase is responsible for transportation of carbon dioxide inside the RBC, right? So that is another MCQ for you, that carbonic anhydrous present in our saliva in negligible amount, and it is actually fastest enzyme present in human body, but carbonic anhydrous is majorly present in RBC, that is red blood cells cytoplasm, right? Now, another composition of this solid portion which is present in saliva is actually called, there is also presence of mucin, mucin, right? Mucin is also present in saliva, right? And there is another component, present in saliva, that is called lactoferrin, lactoferrin, and lactoferrin is actually have a very great role, very great role for the killing of bacteria or inhibiting bacteria like lysozyme. And lactoferrin is responsible for decreased bacterial growth, decrease bacterial growth, growth on in mouth, bacterial growth in mouth, mouth, and this lactoferrin is also promote enamel formation, formation and you know very well, enamel is the major component of our teeth, right? That's why our smile is so beautiful, because there is no enamel, no smile, no teeth, right? Because major component of our teeth is enamel. So this lactoferrin is promote enamel formation, that is actually promote the formation of teeth, the healthiness of teeth is actually responsible on this lactoferrin as well, right? And it also decrease the bacterial growth on mouth, because if you don't brush one day properly, don't actually if you don't brush your teeth properly for one day, then there is a very odor or odd scent create in your mouth, right? That is due to bacterial growth in your mouth. So this beloved lactoferrin try to reduce the bacterial growth and reduce the freshness of our mouth, right? And another composition, there is this saliva contain also a champion antibody. This saliva contain actually immunoglobulin A, that is shortly called IgA. IgA is actually called immunoglobulin A, right? Or antibody A. And you know very well, antibody is the special weapon for fight against the bacteria, fight against the pathogen, every types of pathogen, right? So this immunoglobulin A is also responsible for inhibiting the bacterial and viral growth in our mouth, because our saliva contain this immunoglobulin A. All these points are very important for your MCQ point of view, right? And our saliva is a little bit stringy, right? It is sleepy, right? And this sleepiness or this mucus like appearance of our saliva is actually due to presence of albumin, right? And there is presence also albumin protein in our saliva, and there is also present several electrolyte inside our saliva, several electrolyte present in our saliva, that is actually Na plus, Ka plus, that is sodium ion, potassium ion, and chlorine ion, and bicarbonate ion, HCO3 ion. Such type of ion is also present in our saliva. That is all about the composition of saliva, and we have to discuss now some another basic MCQ, some another basic point about the composition of saliva and about the character of this saliva, right? First of all, you have to copy this board. So my dear, I need to draw another diagram for better explanation, and you know very well there is our loving face, right? That is our loving face, right? And that is eye, and there is your hearing organ, ear. And below the ear there is presence of a first pair of salivary gland, that is called your parotid gland, and there is our muscular, boneless muscular organ, tongue, and below the tongue there is also presence of another pair of salivary gland, smallest salivary gland, that is sublingual gland, and there below our mandible there is presence of another pair of salivary gland, that is called submandibular gland. That is the three pair of salivary gland present in our mouth, right? And all these gland produce saliva for us, right? All these gland produce saliva for us, but every day per day all these gland produce 1000 to 1500 ml of saliva per day. That is the MCQ point of view, very very important. All these salivary gland, that is parotid gland, sublingual gland, and submandibular gland or submaxillary gland, all these gland produce 1000 ml to 1500 ml saliva per day, right? But maximum saliva is produced by our submandibular gland, right? Maximum saliva is produced by which salivary gland, my dear student? This maximum saliva is produced by this submandibular gland, right? Actually 70 to 75% saliva is produced by this submandibular gland, right? But only 25%, not only 25% saliva is actually produced by parotid gland. Parotid gland, right? It is MCQ point of view, very very important. And near about 5% saliva is produced by sublingual gland. I already mentioned to you, that is the lingual gland. Sublingual gland is the smallest salivary gland, and parotid gland is the largest salivary gland, but it is not produce large amount of saliva. Maximum amount of saliva is produced by this submandibular gland. And as well, parotid gland is also called queen of face, right? Now we have to discuss about the duct of all those salivary gland, right? So duct of this parotid gland is open near the second molar of what? Our upper jaw. But duct of this parotid gland, right? I mentioned it there. Duct of parotid gland, DUCT, duct of parotid gland is called actually Stenson's duct, right? Duct of parotid gland mean this one, this duct is called actually Stenson's duct. That is very very important for your exam point of view, right? and duct of submandibular gland is called Wharton's gland. Sorry, not gland. Duct of submandibular gland is called Wharton's duct. So that is the submandibular gland, and the submandibular gland is actually open into the mouth, and this one is also open into mouth, and this duct, actually this duct of this submandibular gland is actually called Wharton's duct. It is also very important for popular MCQ for your competitive exam, right? And last one is the duct of sublingual gland is actually called duct of Rivinus or duct of Bartholin's duct, right? This sublingual glands is actually open below this tongue, and this duct is actually called what? Duct of Rivinus or Bartholin's duct, right? That is all about your salivary gland and composition of saliva. I hope you enjoy a lot this video and it makes sense. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share and subscribe, my dear, if you are new in this channel, by for supporting Bala Biology World. Thank you. Bye bachcho. Sorry dear, I miss a very big and important MCQ regarding this saliva. Actually, what is the pH of saliva? pH of saliva. pH of saliva is actually very important MCQ regarding your competitive exam, right? So pH of your saliva is exactly 6.8, right? That's mean it is slightly acidic. Saliva, actually saliva, nature of saliva is actually slightly acidic due to its low pH, right? You know very well, so pH 7 is neutral, and below the 7 pH, this pH indicate acidic, and above the 7 pH it is called basic pH, BASIC. That's mean 6.8 is below the 7. That's mean the nature of our saliva is slightly acidic, right? That is also very important, right? Thank you for watching. Bye dear.